And now we are gonna start. We are gonna start with the presentations of the community representatives. So, we now begin the presentations, and the first speaker we have the honor to present is Dr. Lakhu Luhana, and he's the General Secretary of the World Sindhi Congress, a Sindhi-based human rights advocacy organization. And Dr. Luhana has remained associated with the rights movement of Sindhi people for more than 5 decades, and he's a regular speaker at many international events, including the UN-sponsored forums in Geneva and the European Parliament, where he has highlighted the plight of the Sindhi people, including human rights violations, environmental injustice, and cultural rights. Please take the floor. The floor is yours, Mr. Luhana.
Honorable Professor Lebra, honorable panel speakers, thank you very much, GHRD, for providing this opportunity to present the case of Sindhi people. And thank you for all of you. Now, somebody asked, the title of today's hearing is Final Call Pakistan. Before I move to anything else, what is Pakistan? Today, exactly 77 years ago, on 14th August 1947, a country was created on the basis of that two-nation theory, that Muslims of subcontinent are a different nation, not the Christians of subcontinent, not the Ahmadis of subcontinent, not the Buddhists of subcontinent, but Muslims are a separate nation. And our suffering started from day one. So if somebody wants to say to me that tell your suffering that has happened over 77 years, in which millions of people have suffered, it is very, very difficult, it is impossible. But I'll try to summarize the most important aspects. So first, to start with Pakistan. What is Pakistan? Now, incidentally, the Pakistan that was created in 1947, within less than 25 years, 54% of the people said, we don't want to be part of this, and they got separated. They got their own country independent, which is called Bangladesh, although there is a lot of turmoil, a lot of reasons that is beyond the scope of this. Then, from day one, the country that was created on 14th of August, on 15th of August, they say, look, in this country, there is only one nation. Not the nations, Sindhis and Balochs and Bengalis and Pakhtuns and Punjabis who have been there for thousands of years. There is no other nation. And whosoever will talk, there was even there is a speech of the founder of Pakistan, Qaidism, that those people who talk about their national biases and about the language and all these rights, they are traitors, they are infidels, and they are agents. And that was the guiding policy that started from day one. So how that Pakistan has evolved? In the 77 years, 35 years, Pakistan has remained under direct military rule, which we call martial law. And the rest of the time, everyone knows that it has been under indirect military rule. Military decides the rules of the game. There is no other institution, even for political even judicial. Tomorrow they want to remove this government, it will be gone. So there is no other institution except the military. Military is the largest corporate company of Pakistan, which runs an airline, the banks, the largest logistic company, the fertilizer company, the sugar companies. It is the largest landowner of Pakistan. It is the ninth largest army of the world. It has got nuclear capabilities. I just read. That the Pakistan's in global terrorism, it is 4th out of 89. Human development, it is 161 out of 191. It is quality of life, is 69 out of 83. It is health expenditure, is 124th out of 169. It is corruption perception, is 133 out of 180. It is democracy index, is 123 out of 176. It is press freedom, is 139 out of 180. It is the rule of law, is 130 out of 142. It is a total troops are number 9th in the country, and in global peace index, it stands at number 40th out of 163. So these very simple, but they speak a lot. And under a constant, consistent, and ruthless army, presence and rule, there is that these are the indicators that tells the story. And in reality, honestly, what do we say? But unless we do not are clear, Pakistan is a de facto under de facto military rule, and it is a military state. And we live in that. And the root of the problem is not only the army rule, constant, but it is basically the use of religious extremism. And there are over 20,000 madrasas. And every year, they produced 2 million religiously educated students. What would happen? We see the situation of that. And now coming to Sindh. So in that situation, we are Sindhis. Now what is Sindh? Sindh is one of the most ancient countries in the world. Sindh is mentioned in the oldest written text of the subcontinent, which is called Vedas. And in Veda, Sindh, that has come 33 times or 36 times. And to your surprise, that Vedas discovered this entire geography of a subcontinent. So there is a reference to Bihar and Punjab, but they are not mentioned with these names. There is only one country that was mentioned with the name of Sindh 4,000 years ago, and that is still remembered, and it is called Sindh. And Sindh is the bastion of Indus Valley civilization. I wouldn't like to go into detail, but I tell you that 4,500 years ago, the largest urban conurbation was Mohenjo. There were other as well surrounded it, but the largest urban conurbation in the entire world was Mohenjo, and that is Sindh, and that is Indus Valley civilization. In this part of the world, people have evolved. The religious harmony is secularism, religious harmony, religious tolerance is inherent part of Sindhi society. Now, coming back to the what is happening in terms of the human rights violation. There are too many things. Now, what is happening currently? What's the current situation? Now, a month ago, military said we need 6,000 acres of land for DHA. And what is DHA? It is Defense Housing Authority. And what is the purpose of the DHA? It is for the benefit and welfare of the armed forces of Pakistan. Now, there are already 8 other phases of DHA already there. Now they are asking 6,000 acres. Now 6,000 acres of land is equal to 24 kilometers square. And already under DHA, they are having 20,000 acres of land. And 20,000 acres of land is 80 kilometers square. So if you combine 80 kilometers square and 24 kilometers square, they become 104 kilometers square, and that is 10 kilometers square bigger than this entire Hague. That is bigger than Brussels. That is bigger than Geneva. But that's not the only land that they are taking. They are taking this land, which we call Box Bay area. That is the costliest land currently in Pakistan. And DHA in Karachi is the most costliest. I was just looking at yesterday the plots that were advertised. There is a plot of 800 square yards, commercial. Do you know what is the price of that? Any idea? It has been advertised at 1.5 billion rupees. It is advertised at 1.5 billion rupees. So that's commercial, the other plots. So the cost of that, the 6,000 acres of land, is at a minimum is 10,000 billion rupees. Okay, but this is not the only land. In Karachi, more than 50% of the lands is owned by army. There are other cities, the command area, Fizaya, is for the Air Force. They have not only given land to them, they have given land to their proxies under for residential developments. There is one Bahia town. Bahia town has been given 46,000 acres of land. And 46,000 acres of land is more than 200 kilometers square. That is twice the size of Hague. And what happens when they occupy these lands? It's not these are barren lands. There are communities living there for hundreds of years. There are people who have been living for hundreds of years. There are ecological habitats. There are historical sites. There are heritage sites. And we have seen in the past, the bulldozers will come, the police will come, the rangers will come, the army will come, get these back. And those who stand in the way, they will be wiped out. They have destroyed thousands of villages over this period. And this carries on. Army take the site and they take it. Now, second is the agricultural land. In February, there was a temporary government, not elected government, and they decided that, look, we gave 52,700 acres of land to army for corporate farming. What about these millions of Sindhi peasants who are dying? You give this to corporate farming? So that was allotted. The caretaker government allotted 52,000, but that doesn't have even legal, moral right to do that. They did it. And now they say we need another 2 million acres. But this has started now. It has started from day one. In 1947, 700,000 acres of land of Sindhi Hindus were left. And since then, literally, they have taken millions of acres of land. And after particularly the Sakhar Barrage, Kotri Barrage, they were randomly distributed. like war booty among the generals and brigadiers sitting and retired and all that. Relatives and all that. Also, the third mechanism of occupied lands is through cantonments. So now last year they went to a village. There are armed people there, so they surrounded it. They fired upon directly. 4 people were killed. They got evacuated, and now they are building a cantonment. Already there are 9 cantonments. Now coming to the situation of the religious minorities, as the country stands on the basis of religion, so there are constitutional discriminations within the constitution. But the Hindus, Christians, Ahmadis, they suffer a systematic persecution. But to be honest, it's because it is my pain, therefore I feel it more. I feel the pain of everybody who suffers, but Sindhi Hindus suffer the burnt of it. And how this is happening? According to the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, every month in Sindh, 20 girls are abducted. And mostly these girls, I've got all the photos, I have made the presentation probably some other time. But most of these girls are under 16. And many of these girls are as young as 11, 12. They are force abducted, force converted, force married to the abductors. And to date, this practice is going on. To date, not a single perpetrator has been captured or punished. There has been recently a very high-profile case of 7-year girl. Her name is Priya Kumari. She was abducted on 19th August 2021, and there have been hundreds of this. You will see on the social media, mothers crying, fathers crying. There are hundreds of this. So rather than, and the government is acting, yes, we know her whereabouts, she's very well off, you don't work. Why you don't return her to her mother if you know her whereabouts? She's still. In Pakistan, currently there are 400 cases of bliss family, 400 young people, and they are facing death. Now, finally, you talked about in the enforced disappearances and the extrajudicial killings. Now, there are, in this month, there have been, not this month, until now, this year, there have been more than 50 enforced disappearances. There have been 3 extrajudicial killings. One of these is Hidayat Lower, who is human rights defender, who was abducted once, remained missing for 19 months. His girls are very active in the Voice for Missing Persons of Sindh, and in daylight in February, he was murdered. Another, the journalist was reporting on the atrocities of military. So, since 2010, there have been 1,200 cases of missing that have been reported. In 2021, UN's working group on enforced and involuntary disappearances, he issued a joint communication to Pakistan, and that was also signed by the 7 special rapporteurs, and one of these was the minority rights rapporteur. And they said, look, we recognize that you are abducting political activists and human rights defenders. We know that the army and agencies are involved in it. We know that your judicial system has failed to get any remedy to them. They haven't responded. Now, coming back to Sindh, Sindh currently provides 70% of revenue and resources of Pakistan. It gives 78% of gas of Pakistan, 54% of oil of Pakistan, the only fully operational seaports of Pakistan. It has got 6th largest coal deposit in the world, which is equal to $23 trillion. Sindh produces gas, but in the areas where gas is found, there is no gas. Sindh from this coal produces electricity, but in the areas, the villages, they are without. They only get, they get the pollution coming from the plumes of these coal burning power plants minorities. Okay, so this the continuous human rights violation, what it has resulted in. Now in Sindh, yesterday UNICEF said that in Sindh 98% of children, they are malnourished. More than 50% of the children, more than 50% children, they are stunned. 75% of Sindhi people, they suffer multidimensional poverty. 20%, 80% of the water that Sindhi people get, that is not suitable, according to the Supreme Court, is not suitable even for animal consumption. And every fifth person, that 20% of people, they suffer from hepatitis, 5% from cancer, 5% from tuberculosis. So every fifth person that is dying in Sindh is dying of hepatitis. And the tragedy goes on. And according to the UN Convention of Genocide, that if the conditions of life are imposed on a people, group of people, nation, whatever, that result in large-scale killing and disease, that is genocide. And to be honest, this is not genocide. Will you come to help us? We need you. We need your help. We need your help.
Thank you. Thanks so much for your contribution, Mr. Luhana. And also the case that Mr. Luhana mentioned the case that Mr. Luhana mentioned about Priya Kumari, we covered in our